What's going on, guys? It's Thomas from the Switch Stop. I'm joined by PJ, and welcome to the 8th ever episode of Nintendo Tonight. This is the
Yep.
podcast where we talk about Nintendo at night. This is 2 episodes in a row, PJ, where we've actually been recording at around like
Yep.
midnight.
Midnight.
So
Yeah. Yep.
works every time, I guess. Not
Of
every time,
course.
but at least the past 2 times.
Yeah.
Hopefully, if you guys watched the last episode, hopefully two things actually. Hopefully there isn't thundering going on outside my house this time. Tried really hard to control that, but it was out of my control, unfortunately.
Yep.
So that did interrupt the last episode, and I forget what the other thing I was gonna say was. So yeah,
Webcam delay.
webcam delay. Yeah,
Yep.
okay. Hopefully my webcam's all
Synced.
synced up. It
Yeah.
should be. If not, once again, apologize, but it's like the webcam. We've only done it like 2 times now, so it's not the end of the world.
It should be fine. The reason it was like screwed up because in OBS, obviously the way that I record this, Thomas's audio wasn't on the right, obviously, output. So
Yeah,
um,
it's
is what it is.
it is what it is. Not the biggest deal in the slightest. You know what
Mm-hmm.
is a big deal though, PJ? You know
Do
what is a
tell.
huge deal?
Do tell.
Nintendo Directs, and specifically, Furukawa's statement. Who's the president of Nintendo of Japan, which is the main branch of Nintendo. His
Mm-hmm.
statement on directs from a Japanese Q&A. I'm not sure if this was with investors or just a normal Q&A. I would assume it was with investors, but regardless, that doesn't really matter. What matters is what he said. We're going to get into that and what it means for the future of directs. Are directs a thing anymore? Do they still happen? Will we
Mm-hmm.
get one? Will it be like kind of a direct, kind of something new? We're going to get into all that. And then about halfway through, we're going to switch topics on over to something everyone loves to talk about, yet Nintendo doesn't really seem to like to acknowledge. Nintendo's franchises that aren't yet on Switch. I'm talking, F-Zero. I'm talking Pikmin. I'm talking Chibi Robo, if that even still exists. Probably not. I'm talking Star Fox. I'm talking Metroid because, Metroid Prime 4 is lost with the Krabby Patty secret formula. Like that's locked away. Very, 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 very delayed. So, we'll talk about all that stuff, all the, hidden Nintendo franchises or the Nintendo franchises that are not yet on Switch. We'll talk about what we want them to come to Switch, or not what we want them to come to Switch. That makes no sense. But why we want them to come to Switch and what we want to see on Switch. There we
Yep.
go.
There you go.
That kind of formulated the sentence. It took a bit, but I got to it.
Yeah, so I guess we can just go ahead here. I'll get into Furukawa's statement here, or answering the question. So he said, "We feel Nintendo Directs are an incredibly effective way to present information directly to our customers in a very straightforward way. Inversely, times change, and so does the most effective way to promote products, so there is a chance that a new, better way to present this information comes about. So we always like to examine all of the possible ways to communicate this information to our customers." So go ahead and what's your thoughts on that?
My thoughts on that?
Yep.
I think it's kind of scary because I do really
Yeah.
enjoy directs. I think that directs are the most effective way as of right now to get information out there. I feel
Yep.
like every time there's a Nintendo Direct, the announcement, whenever it's announced, like Twitter trending is filled with Nintendo Direct. Like Smash Bros will be up there because the Smash Bros community just goes nuts like speculating stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, Sorry, I said Smash Bros community and my brain got sidetracked. Moving on. We got like just that thing is like crazy. There's so much like stuff packed into Nintendo Directs that like whenever they come out, like it kind of just like dominates gaming news for that time
Yep.
period.
Seriously. Yeah.
So I feel like, and it's not even just a Nintendo thing, is other companies are now doing it. Like you got
Yeah.
the Inside Xbox, you got the State of Play Sony, which is I find that so funny because it's so like Inside Xbox they kind of try and do their own thing. Like the Sony thing is just it is just right there. It is so blatantly like copied off of Nintendo Directs. But now that I have a PlayStation 4 sitting back there, I don't really care. Like I'll watch those State of Plays. Like screw it, I might be able to get some of those games.
Yep.
But yeah, like I feel like Nintendo Directs are the best way to communicate information. So the fact that he's like,
Yep.
yeah, we're looking into other options, it's like, why? Like, I just don't like. I don't really understand. Obviously, Nintendo's always for innovating with their
Yeah,
consoles,
there you go.
changing stuff. Yeah, a bit slow today, but we're getting on with it. Obviously Nintendo always likes to innovate. They never like to do what's expected. And I guess, Nintendo Directs have kind of been expected of the company. Like everyone's always like,
Yeah,
"Oh,
oh, of
where's the
course.
January Direct? Where's the September Direct?" Maybe they just don't like that. Maybe they don't like having that kind of expectation.
Hmm.
Besides that, I can't really think of a single reason why they would ditch the direct formula, especially because it feels like directs as a brand, like, because obviously there's the Nintendo brand, but then there's the specific brand of Nintendo Directs where you got the transitions, you got the pacing, you got like the announcers who go like blah 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 blah, and then it like zooms into whatever the game is. Like I had to look over all that stuff for like when I did my own
Did
direct,
the
the
yeah,
non-Nintendo direct,
yeah.
and it feels like Nintendo just kind of settled on a template, a style that they really liked, because the early days of directs were like very poorly paced. You would get a game that would like they didn't really understand that like people were reacting to this in like mass. So you would get like, a small game at the start, a big game in the middle, and a small game at the end. Like I remember Paper Mario Color Splash. They announced that by Bill Trinen just going, "Yeah, and now we're here to show you the brand new Paper Mario game." Like that just makes no sense. Like that's something you put at the beginning or the end, not just like Bill Trinen saying, "Yeah, take a look at it." Wasn't even take a look at this. Like that at least gets some excitement. It was like,
Yeah. So what you're
we're
saying is it was
yeah,
already set up for failure. I mean, the way it was announced, I mean, the console
yeah,
it
yeah,
was
yeah,
on,
yeah, yeah.
it was
Paper
already set up
Mario
for
Color
failure. So,
Splash. Yeah,
yeah, no
exactly.
way. No way it was
But
going to do good. Yeah.
but no, but getting back to Nintendo Directs, it's like they just kind of got in. Like the past couple of directs have been absolutely killer.
Oh, yeah.
Even if I don't personally like the stuff they announce, like the way they pace it,
It's
they
been
they
exciting. Yeah.
know, yeah, they know their audience. They know exactly what announcements will get like gather the hype. They know how to phrase everything. It's been so refreshing to see Nintendo, which is so Nintendo is so out of touch with just modern culture and like the internet and all that. Like it's so entertaining for like to see them put on these shows that are like well produced, like very very high quality and like engaging. So
Yeah.
I it's just kind of like, you guys are just hitting your stride with this. Why take it away? Why try and look for something else? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's my thoughts on it. But
Yeah, I totally basically agree with you're saying or what you're saying totally. I mean, directs are just so exciting, like what you said. I mean, even if I'm not exactly interested in the games, most of it's exciting unless it's a JRPG other than Xenoblade or something. I'm like,
yeah,
okay, but I mean, other than
yeah,
that, it's mostly exciting, and I agree with you. They've really set the blueprint for all of these different companies like Microsoft and Sony for their different presentations, announcing
even
games and everything.
Ubisoft.
Yeah, yeah.
Ubisoft with the Ubisoft Forward in just a couple of
Hmm.
days from when we're recording this.
Yep. So it's been pretty huge, and the fact that they talk about possibly changing it, I'm very confused. I don't know why they would, because it's done so well. And it is so good. I mean, you just get all of this information. You don't just, tweet out the games like they've been doing recently
Yeah,
because of coronavirus and everything, obviously. But it's just an exciting time. It's something to look forward to. It's something to keep fans excited. It runs news for days and days. Twitter goes crazy over directs all the time.
yeah,
Um, and it's always that one big surprise at the end, whether it be a Smash character or one game that somebody's been looking forward to that's finally being talked about. It's an exciting time. I mean, and normally for these other companies, like in the past, they've always had to wait till E3 for to hear like Xbox game news or like PS4 game news from like a bigger stage, I guess. But Nintendo has kind of created their own stage online, and even with the pandemic, I mean, it works perfectly for the concept of like a Nintendo Direct, right? So, I
exactly.
don't even know why they would even consider changing it. It's perfect.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. It's very confusing to hear. I'm just
Yep.
gonna pull up the quote again because it's like it's phrased also in a weird way.
Hmm.
He acknowledges that like he goes, yeah, we feel Nintendo Directs are an incredibly effective way to prevent or present information directly to our customers in a very straightforward way. But then he admits that like, hey, this is a like we have developed a good thing here. And then he goes, inversely, times change, and so does the most effective way to promote products. It's like so okay. So I feel like overall he's essentially saying, or what I would like to hope he's saying, hey, we're gonna stick with what we have now, but we're not opposed to changing if if a better way comes along, we won't be like stuck in our direct roots.
Yeah,
But like at that point, why would you come out and say this? I feel like it just makes more it like
just
makes more
adds a lot more
confusion and
questions. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Unless they were like specifically asking him about this, and then I guess he had to answer. But
yeah, man.
I
I
don't know.
mean, Directs itself, great way to hype up fans about games. I mean, they've even kind of put Directs as E3 now. I mean, like, because
Exactly. Yeah.
Nintendo hasn't done E3 like the traditional way, having their own presentation on a big stage and everything. It's been Treehouse, it's been Direct, and then Treehouse for the entire event, just playing through the whatever games were announced or characters, if it's Smash or um, like tournaments. I think there was Smash tournaments at E3, if I'm not
There
mistaken.
were there was Smash like Splatoon and
Right,
Arms
right, yeah,
got big
yeah,
tournaments.
yeah, yeah,
Like Nintendo kind of hammed it up the past couple of E3s,
yeah.
like with the
I-
treehouse and all
yeah.
that stuff.
Yeah, and pretty much the direct is the way they set up their E3 itself.
Exactly.
So, I mean, for them to do that, I don't want to see them go back to the big stage of, a Microsoft or a Sony or whatever they're doing. So, the fact it still just really confuses me about even talking about removing the Nintendo Direct itself, because it's such a staple of Nintendo. I mean, like, probably the number one question asked by all fans are like, "Where's the Direct? Where's the Direct? We
Yeah.
always get one in June. Where's the Direct?" Like I told you, um, like last episode, or maybe it was just us talking, but we had this 2 hour talk which we mentioned about the future switched up, and I was saying June has been an extremely slow month for us because normally we would be talking about what was just announced and talked about at E3,
Hmm.
and we have to like like figure out what content we want to make that can be viewed at any time. So it's very strange, but overall, just to conclude, sort of for the direct, I think it should not go away. I would be very surprised if they ever move on, or not fully move on, but I would be surprised if in these next few years they go a different direction with announcing their games or even return to the big stage or something. But yeah,
Yeah. And to just reiterate on that, I think I speak for both of us when I say we don't think there's going to be a change. We just figured we'd
yep,
talk about this quote because
hmm
it was very out of left field for us.
hmm
Personally, we just thought it, kind of weird. However, it does kind of bring up an interesting point that I do want to get your take on, PJ.
hmm
Maybe 5 or so years down the line, what do you think is the future of directs? Like not of directs, but of the way Nintendo presents information and video game companies as a whole present information. Because I do truly believe that directs kind of took the the video game get on a stage and do a press conference thing. They kind of took that and just like ran with it. Like that was that like directs are the next evolution of that. Like you look at the PS5 reveal. The PS5 reveal was a developer like it should have been, or not what it should have been, but what it most people expected was like Sony rep getting on a stage, trailer plays, talks for a bit about specs, trailer plays, but instead of that, it was a normal. It was essentially a Nintendo Direct. Like there was no real like discussion about like anything besides the games. It was just very it was very here's a trailer, here's a trailer, here's a trailer. So I think that and obviously they couldn't gather a ton of people in a theater because of coronavirus, but we'll just skip over that. I think that most companies are kind of leaning more towards this direct style. So I do believe that Nintendo has created the next evolution in how companies or video game companies in particular share information. But I'm curious, what do you think is past that? I have a couple ideas, but I'd want to hear your take first.
I don't really know what's past that because of right now. I think we're stuck in the Nintendo Direct style because of the pandemic and everything.
Yeah, I mean like 5 years
And
in the future. Like,
yeah,
what do you think they're
so
gonna do?
yeah, I mean, I it's hard to say because I think on what they're going to do is really going to depend on how the world is going to change. I'm looking at it like the bigger picture, right?
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
like for example, I mean, people might not be comfortable with going to E3 if this, whenever this pandemic ends. Like, we don't know, dude. Like, we really don't know. But if we're really thinking of the world is back to normal again, and if the if directs are going to be replaced by something else, I don't know. I mean, the only guesses that I have are to go back to the big stage. I don't think that'll happen. Or, they'll just tweet out announcements like they do and just, shadow drop announcement videos on us. I mean, like I said, it's
Yeah.
become such a staple. I can't imagine Nintendo doing anything else.
Yeah. Um, I kind of agree with that. It's going to be hard to imagine, what they could do in the future, but I do have a couple of ideas. One thing I think is pretty interesting that I do want to talk about is virtual reality, right? So I'm a big fan.
Big
I like
VR
my
fan.
my Oculus Quest. I was just playing it before this, getting
Yep.
some new records on Beat Saber.
There you go.
And no, but one thing Oculus does is they have something called an Oculus Connect, which sounds like it's a exact ripoff of a direct, but it's not really. It's basically a yearly thing that happens around September-ish. And what they do is they have a person on stage. The like it's like a normal E3 press conference. Like they rent out like the Facebook theater or whatever because Oculus is owned by Facebook, and they have people on stage. Sometimes Mark Zuckerberg is there. Sometimes it's more
Nice.
human people. And
Yeah.
they have people, and they're basically saying, okay, here's the new stuff we're announcing. So, for example, last Oculus Connect, which was Oculus Connect 6, I think, they announced a couple of big things. They announced like hand tracking, and then they announced some games. They announced Vader Immortal Episode 2, which was like a shadow drop released later that day, I think. They
Mhm.
announced a lot of stuff there. Obviously, that got canceled for this year. But what the room
Like a
I
lot of
forget.
other people did.
Yeah, of course. Oh, people. I was thinking events that got
That
canceled. But
that too,
people
but
did get canceled this year.
oh yeah.
We're not talking about that though. At least not for right now.
Oh yeah, I know. It
Um,
was just a joke. Go
yeah,
on.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
I know, I know. But Oculus Connect. There we go.
Mm.
So I don't know if this is a rumor of what's happening this year or if they actually came out and said this, but a lot of people are saying that they're going to have an event that anyone can go to, right? So you don't have to physically be in that space, but you have to go to it in virtual reality. So you're walking around like the exhibit hall with your headset on in virtual reality, like moving your character around, and you can like wait in lines to play demos for games, or everyone sits and watches like the Mark Zuckerberg avatar give his little speech where like and when he plays like a virtual reality trailer, it's not like a 2D trailer you watch, it's like a 3D trailer that like you move your head, look around, and
Yeah.
stuff's happening all around you. Like that would be so cool. And obviously that doesn't really have much to do with Nintendo, but it makes me think, what if Nintendo, what if they do like a Nintendo, I don't know what they'd call it, but like maybe it's they premiere a direct, right? Or like something where they show off a bunch of like game trailers. Then it's because us going off the assumption that like E3 doesn't exist anymore or whatever, they have like demos anyone can download on their own switches, and it's like a 2 to 3 minute demo of whatever games they showed off and would have demoed at the show floor. I think it would be a really interesting way to kind of give that convention experience to
Okay.
everyone,
Yeah.
because I've
So
never
you
been to
don't.
E3,
Yeah.
but
So sorry not to interrupt, but so
of
you
course.
don't mean Nintendo VR? You mean like an interactive some sort of app to
Yeah.
walk around? Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because
Okay.
obviously, Nintendo wouldn't do the VR thing, and I think this
Mhm.
solution, like theoretically, when you think about it, it works better in VR, but it could 100% work
Yeah.
in Nintendo's case, where like even if it's not like, hey, you're walking around the show floor, if like you just download an app that says like Nintendo Con or whatever. Obviously, they wouldn't call it that, but I mean, who knows? Nintendo Con, and for while your Switch is connected to the internet, you can go into that app from like the day the con starts and to the day the con ends. You can like, and like while you're in there, like there will be different demos that go at certain times.
Mhm.
So like at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to 6:10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, everyone has access to a demo of Metroid Prime 4. And you can play, and
Wow.
then
Yeah.
everyone will get a ton of gameplay, but you can only play for 10 minutes because after that, it shuts off. Obviously, there would be problems with like people with hacked consoles, accessing the demo and all that stuff. But
Yeah.
like,
That's
it,
something. Yeah.
if they figured it out
Hmm.
and did it right, like that would be the future
Yeah.
of that's, or at least that's what I would think that would be the future of that sort of thing.
That's that's a crazy idea, dude. I mean,
I
obviously
know.
I mean, you brought up even the negatives of it with people with hacked consoles and just ruining the
Yeah, for
experience
sure.
and all that. Um,
Damn
but
hackers.
yeah, like on the face, I mean, it sounds really sick. I mean, I think that that's a real possibility because I think E3 is on its way out, and the pandemic didn't help that at all. I think
Yeah.
that a lot of conventions, period, are going to be very affected after the pandemic ends, with people being scared. I mean, like, or not after the pandemic ends, but like, you know what I mean, like later on, it just in
Yeah.
life generally. I think people may be scared of going to conventions just generally, and regardless of the fact, I thought E3 was going to be done sometime this decade anyway, but with that idea and even the big game companies moving to like these presentations, like you said, state of play and all that, um, following Nintendo's footsteps, kind of. I mean, that's definitely an idea they could look into, man.
Yeah.
Huge possibility.
Just interesting. It's just an interesting thing. I like kind of getting those thought experiments out there
Yeah.
because it's really, it really is thought provoking because I feel like in
Mm-hmm.
a lot of ways, video games is on the cutting edge when it comes to how companies exist and how they portray information to the fans and all that, because video games seem like a culmination of like music, of movies. Like it's really is like I feel like the future kind of.
Oh yeah.
So, and especially even within that, VR I feel like is the future of video games. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like really interesting to kind of see specifically what Oculus is doing. Like, hey, like what if like instead of having a convention where you have to fly out to Los Angeles, get a pass and stuff, anyone who has the console can access all these demos for a limited period of time. That way, no disease wise, like that's a plus. No, it's social distancing and all that, but also that's got to be a huge buy for people who want to play those demos. They can just, you have to get an Oculus, you have to get a Switch,
Mm-hmm.
and it's interesting to see that, and then kind of like, okay, well, bigger picture that could be adapted to Nintendo and other video game companies. Biggest picture, like what
Mm-hmm.
if like companies like Apple start doing that with like the iPhones and stuff? Like they just showed off like iOS 14 and a ton of that stuff, and I won't get into it now, but what if like you know they started doing like, I mean, it would be harder for them because they kind of show off more physical products. Like
Yeah.
you can't
Yeah.
really download the new like the new physical iPhone. But
Yeah.
like what if like, I don't know, there's
I
so
get
many
the idea.
implications.
No, I
Yeah.
get the idea. It's very interesting to think about that whole idea. Obviously, very VR inspired because you are
Yeah.
a VR kid nowadays. So, I mean,
I like
it's
it.
interesting, dude. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
you like it a little bit, but
Just a little.
yeah, it's a great idea. I mean, I think you bring up a lot of great ideas for the future there. I think that's like future. Like I'm talking like
Yeah.
10 years down the line or 15 years down the line. I think like there's a high percentage of something like that happening, like no doubt. Um, so guess we'll have to wait and see, and see where they go from there. I think the online presentations is the future. I think like I said, I think E3 isn't gonna be a thing past this decade, sadly. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, sucks because a lot of fun memories with E3. It was
Oh,
always
of
a
course,
goal
of
of mine
course.
in life to go to one. I don't know why. I feel like I wouldn't
Yeah.
have fun. I'd be too stressed out. I wanna like sit down and watch the reaction, but just something about it, man. I've always wanted to go, and I've never even thought of myself as like someone who would go to a convention. But then I went to PAX a couple years ago with some of my like in real life friends. I was like, there's
Hmm.
no way they're gonna want to go with me to a
Yeah.
video game convention, and I hit them with like, hey, yo, like might as well, like, you guys want to go to this? They were like a couple of them were like, yeah, that actually sounds dope.
I
Let's
remember
go.
you hit 10K at PAX and you were like sitting there and you
Crazy,
recorded the
yeah, yeah.
yeah, crazy.
Memories. A lot
Mhm.
of cool stuff happened at PAX
Yeah.
last year,
We
this
even
year.
talked about We even talked about going to a PAX in the future after
Yeah.
all this stuff ends,
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah,
Flying
for
out
sure.
and going to a PAX together, that'd be pretty
That would
lit.
be the
But
first time. That would be the first time we ever like actually met up in
yeah,
person. That's kind of weird to think
yeah,
about
yeah,
because we like talk every day about like Switch top stuff. So it's pretty funny
yeah,
that we never
yeah,
met IRL, but it
yeah.
is what it is.
Of course. Yeah, would be crazy, but hopefully this pandemic can end soon and the world can go back to not peace, but to some normalcy, because
Yeah,
it's never
for sure.
peaceful,
I don't. Yeah, I was
in
just
a
we
way.
did not have peace before this.
Oh yeah.
Certainly don't have peace now. But hey, maybe
Yeah.
maybe beating this virus will bring us all together, and that'll be the unifying factor. But I highly doubt it. At least here in
Yeah.
America, I don't know how
Sad.
things are
Yeah.
up in Canada, but
Yeah, sadly, I kind of have to agree with you there. You'd like to hope that this would bring us
yeah,
together, but some people just,
bro, America right now, it's not looking too good for us. It's gonna be so funny. I cannot wait. Like, I actually cannot wait until like every other company or every other country, jeez, has reopened like their
company.
borders.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, countries, companies. What's the difference in today's world? Oh, that just got deep. But like I cannot wait until every other country has reopened their borders to everyone except for American citizens. Because oh my god, as a whole, we deserve it. Like there's
Oh my
like
god.
most of us are. I don't want to say most of us. A fair amount of us are smart and at least not even smart, just have common sense and decency.
Yeah.
But there are a fair amount of us that don't. And the just recent events has really kind of brought that to the forefront. I'm not going to, get political because I don't want to offend anyone, but
Yeah.
I just feel like it's kind
We're
of,
not there yet. We'll get there.
yeah.
We're not there yet, though.
Maybe we should do a politics podcast. See how that goes.
Imagine.
Yeah.
Oh
Oh
my
my god.
god.
That would be so bad.
Oh
Oh
my
yeah,
no,
I'm not
dude.
even no.
Moving on.
Move on, move on, move on. I'm about to make a really bad joke. Just move on.
Oh my
Please, please, please.
god.
Let's talk about Pikmin, dog. What's up with that?
Oh yeah, I was just reading. So like other franchises to Switch. We have a few written down.
Uh,
F-Zero, we haven't seen that for a while, other than Captain Falcon being in Smash and not being in Mario Kart, which is a whole other topic that I'm sure we will debate next episode. A little sneak peek. We'll talk about
Oh,
Captain Falcon next episode. But
yes,
for some
sir.
reason he is not in Mario Kart, even though everything except for him is in Mario Kart, and F-Zero has not been really talked about for years. So you think F-Zero makes a comeback? I mean, considering where Mario Kart is, kind of a weird place right now because Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is stuck on the Switch because they just ported it from the Wii U, obviously, and just added the DLC characters and all that. And Mario Kart Tour is doing really good, but like Mario Kart 9, like I can't really justify them releasing it now because it's still selling so well. I mean,
Yeah,
we talk about all the time like, man, I wish they added like DLC, like paid DLC into Deluxe. I mean, adding more tracks and bringing back classic characters, or not classic characters, I guess, but very loved characters by fans like Funky Kong and all that. So, I mean, do you think F-Zero can make a Switch, comeback, or what do you think?
I think it is actually more likely now than ever.
Yeah,
I think it's very weird because, excuse me, F-Zero, like they cut it or not cut, but like they stopped making it because they said Mario Kart was like gonna be their main racing focus.
yeah,
But it actually works out well now because Mario Kart is
it's
kind of in a
stuck.
limbo state. It's
Yeah,
yeah, it can't really put out a new one. So it would not surprise me actually. And this is coming from someone who has never like I've never been into Nintendo while F-Zero was an active living
yeah,
thing.
me too.
So like in my mind, F-Zero has always been the like punching bag joke. Like that and
Yeah,
Mother 3 have always been the like, oh haha,
yeah.
never gonna get it, never gonna get it, like that sort of thing.
Hmm.
So it's weird for me to say this not ironically, but F-Zero within the next couple of years would not terribly surprise me. I'm not guaranteeing it, so do not, take anyone listening, do not say that. But I do think it is more likely than some people give it credit for because
Yep.
Nintendo they clearly still care about the franchise. It got a lot of support in Mario Kart. They added the 200cc mode, which is arguably based around that entire game's premise of going fast.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Captain Falcon was not in that game for some reason, but his signature car, the Blue Falcon, was turned into a cart. We got the
Two tracks,
most,
right?
yeah, the two most iconic Mario Kart or F-Zero tracks were put in Mario
It
Kart, Mute
was it
City
was Mute
and
City and Big Blue.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That is my
Yep.
favorite track, by the way, in Mario Kart 8. The
Mhm.
music is out of this world for Big
Oh
Blue.
yeah.
It's so good. And just visually that track is stunning.
Oh
It's
yeah.
it's fun to race on. It's like one of those it's one of those like, there's no like there's sections instead of laps so you don't repeat it, kind of like Mount Wario. Um
Right.
it is a very stunning and visually appealing track, and I think it is the best one in the game, and it is the reason I care about F-Zero at all. Because if that wasn't in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which is one of my favorite games of all time, or
Yeah.
Mario Kart 8 slash Deluxe,
It's the
um,
same thing, man.
I know, yeah, I just clarifying that.
Yep.
If that wasn't there, I would not care. I would not give a damn about F-Zero because I think the most of the reason people care about it now is Captain Falcon in Smash Bros. But even
Mm-hmm.
though I play Smash Bros. And I actually used to main Captain Falcon for a bit when I
Me
actually,
too.
played it a little bit
Mm-hmm.
competitively. Um, I don't care. I don't care about F-Zero because of Smash Bros. Like, I don't care. I don't play Smash Bros. And then go, yo, I want to race as this guy, but super fast. Like that
Yeah.
means nothing to me. But then seeing the track design of Big Blue and Mario Kart 8, like, it wasn't, the track design wasn't lifted straight one from the other, but the entire aesthetic, everything about it, I just loved. I fell in love with it. So I would love to see an HD F-Zero, and I do think it is somewhat possible now because Mario Kart 9 is not coming out anytime soon, in my humble opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
And I really hate giving credit to leakers or even mentioning them at all. And specifically this guy, I do not trust him at all. I do not think his track record is very good. But I think there's a leaker named Sabi who said a while back Nintendo's big holiday 2020 title would have something to do with wheels or like something to do with like driving, something like that. I
I
took
don't
that as
trust that. Yeah.
I said, yeah, as soon as I saw that, I said, no, because he was clearly hinting towards Mario Kart 9. Um, I don't think that's coming this holiday. I think if that happens, I will be utterly shocked. I also just think that guy's kind of questionable reliability slash questionable. Not 100% sure if he's a good person, so I kind of steer clear from whatever he says.
Yep.
But I
Steer
do
clear.
damn. But I do think it's like okay, like not he's on to something, but like it just got me thinking, what other series has wheels? Not F-Zero, because F-Zero, I don't think there are wheels on those like cars. I think they kind of like hover and just go fast. But
Yeah,
it's
I think it's like
in
rocket power.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's rocket power, but I think it just kind of like hovers slightly above, and that's why you can like tilt the cars. But regardless, it's like in memory of wheels. That didn't make sense. You know what I mean? Like you when you think of F-Zero, you think car, drive, go, and then that makes you think
Yep.
wheels. Or maybe he was talking about the steering wheels. Think about that.
Yeah, the famous wheel from Mario Kart Wii is
The Wii
make
wheel.
yeah, dude. They're bringing back the Wii wheel and now Wiimotes are compatible.
Mm,
Anyway,
that could happen. Yeah, that's definitely realistic.
I think F-Zero, it deserves to come back. I think it's perfect timing. We'll move on after this, but I think it's perfect timing with where Mario Kart is right now. You can't really do 9 because it's selling so well. I don't think that it's worth for Nintendo to do right now. F-Zero
Facts.
HD would be beautiful. The music is already amazing. And I mean, what can I say? I mean, it would just be so perfect. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's the perfect time. 2021. I mean, I hope. Who knows? Um, but
Yeah.
speaking of another forgotten Nintendo franchise, it's almost seemed like Pikmin. Pikmin 4. We talked about last episode. Said. I think it was Miyamoto said that it was near completion in 2015,
Yeah.
and we never got it. And it just kind of fell into irrelevance. Pretty much everyone forgot about it. So now this fan-made theory has come up that Pikmin 3 Deluxe is going to come to the Switch instead of Pikmin 4. And I don't know. I feel like Pikmin 3 Deluxe is a game that can be dropped in a direct whenever the hell we get that. Or even Pikmin 4. I don't think it's gonna be like huge emphasis on it, but I mean, do you see Pikmin making a return in the next 3 years? I'll say.
I do. I
Okay.
do think Pikmin 3 Deluxe will be coming eventually, or maybe it'll be a trilogy pack. Um,
Yeah.
I think that, Pikmin is definitely not as alive as some people want it to be. But if you say that it's like dead
Dead.
in the
Yeah.
same vein as F-Zero, then I think you're out of your mind
Yeah.
because
I wouldn't classify it as dead like
yeah,
other franchises
yeah,
we have listed. Yeah.
yeah. Because I mean, we just got in 2016 a spin-off for the
Hey Pikmin.
3DS.
Yeah. Hey Pikmin. Or
Yeah,
something like
yeah,
that. Yeah.
yeah. I think that's actually exactly what it was called. Um,
So I saw a comment. Sorry to interrupt one more time.
no, no problem.
Last episode I saw a comment where maybe Pikmin 4 was scrapped, and instead they decided to focus, making Hey Pikmin, which I don't
I
know.
don't
I
think
kind
so.
of doubt
I don't
that.
think so.
I
Because they're
kind of
so different styles of
yeah, I
game.
kind of doubt that they would, even put a mainline Pikmin game on the 3DS, which I think that comment kind of insinuated, so I was confused by that. But anyway, um, Pikmin, I mean, I think it'll come back in the next 3 years. I hope it does, because, I feel bad for the fans after just being left in the dark after
Yeah.
Miyamoto trolled all of them.
Bro, imagine if they said like if Miyamoto goes, yeah, 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 3D World Deluxe is done. It'll come out soon.
And then you just wait 5 years and it's like,
I would be broken inside. Heartbroken.
we've
Like
talked about that possibility
I would
before of
cry.
it never coming. I,
I no, I just like I feel bad for
I'm
the
just
Pikmin
gonna
fans.
leave it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know.
It's like that
We've
like,
talked
that's
about
what
it
they
before.
feel. Oh,
Hmm.
my heart is
Broken.
torn in
Yep.
two.
No.
You know who you are, Miyamoto.
So you know a bit more about this franchise than I do, I think. So, Chibi Robo on Switch.
Oh,
What do you think
yeah.
about that? I've never played a game. The only reason I've watched gameplay is to download gameplay for a trailer. So, what do you think about Chibi Robo coming to Switch?
I don't think it's happening. I think Chibi
Yep.
Robo is dead. Um, especially because I'm pretty sure Chibi Robo Ziplash, which is the bad,
Laughing stock of the series,
yeah,
apparently.
yeah,
What you
laughing
told
stock
me.
of the
Yeah.
series. It's like a 2D platformer on the 3DS, and it's a bad one at that. So it's not like a good 2D
Oh boy.
platformer. It's just like there were like PJ. It's actually kind of funny. I might find some images to send you after the podcast. I'm pretty sure. Don't quote me on this. Maybe it was only in the Japanese version, but like the point of Chibi Robo is like you go around a house and like collect random stuff. I think I never actually played the GameCube once, but I'm pretty sure in the 3DS one, like you would collect stuff and they would be like product placements. So you would collect like a Duracell like AA battery, which is so out of left field for a Nintendo game.
Oh my god.
Like,
If that's true, I'm actually gonna laugh so hard.
yeah. But anyway, I think that series is dead. I'm sorry, sorry, Chibi Robo fans, because I'm pretty sure Nintendo came out and said the future of the franchise depends on Ziplash, and no one bought Ziplash. That game
Yikes.
plummeted. It
Yep.
is still, legend has it, copies of Chibi Robo Ziplash are still sitting brand new on store shelves today. So,
In looted GameStops,
oh yeah,
still sitting on shelves, and
they
yeah,
looted
yeah,
the GameStops and left the Chibi Robo Ziplash.
just left it completely perfect, behind the counter, just not even touched the plastic, not touched, just perfect pristine condition, just left to.
Some people actually left their own copies of Chibi Robo Ziplash in the looted GameStop. They went
Yeah,
in.
yeah, took their time to put the plastic around it and everything into
Yeah.
to hot wrap it. What's
The hot wrap. I think that's what it's called. Like saran wrap or something.
yeah, whatever. I mean, you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
The
The plastic thing.
put the tight plastic around it. Yeah. Anyway, enough clowning on Chibi Robo. Moving on. Next franchise, Star Fox. The most recent installment, I believe, is Star Fox Zero for the Wii U. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, you're right. You're right.
Um,
Like Star Fox Guard or something came out on like the same day. I'm pretty sure because that was like a weird like mini game thing. Maybe it
yeah.
came out later. Actually, I'm not sure. But like the last mainline thing was Zero on Wii U.
Yeah, so Star Fox series is very weird. Obviously, I think we can all agree it peaked at Star Fox 64 3D, even though that's, a port to be
Yeah, I
honest. I
guess.
mean, it played perfectly on the 3DS, obviously. I mean, I really loved that game even though it was old. But anyway, um, a lot of people have said that Star Fox Zero is just is basically a reimagining of Star Fox 64, and it's just like kind of dry. And on the GameCube for a little bit, they had those two Star Fox adventure games, which I personally was not a fan of. But where does the franchise go from here? I mean, like, that's another franchise that's stuck. I feel like what can they do? They've
Yeah.
tried the adventure route. It hasn't been long lasting, and the Star Fox 64 formula, I feel like, people obviously respect the old game and love the old game, but I feel like they have really nowhere else to go there.
I think exactly you just kind of hit the nail on the head right there. They got to do something new. That's why I think so many people like that Star Fox Racing rumor from a while back because that's something so
Yeah.
different that it would really rejuvenate the series. Something I do want to point out is that Ubisoft Toys to Life Starlink game that had
Right.
Star
Yeah.
Fox content in it. I feel like Nintendo, that was kind of Nintendo's thought process was like, hey, this is something new, gain some interest back in the Star Fox brand, just kind of keep it somewhat relevant in terms
Yeah.
of gaming. Um, while we like figure out, hey, what do we do with this? Because people clearly don't want another of the main thing because or well I think people would be fine if we got a legitimate sequel to
I
Star Fox
mean,
64. I feel
yeah.
like people wouldn't be too mad, but like the thing is they keep remastering it and then with Zero it was like a reimagining, but then they like the controls were apparently really clunky or weird or something with the gamepad. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Staying out of that hot mess. All I want to say is Star Fox, like, it's not dead. I just think it Nintendo can either kill the series or revive it by releasing another game in the style of all the past Star Fox games, which I think would kill the series, or actually doing something different, taking risks and being unique, which would rejuvenate the series and
Yeah.
people still care about those characters too. So I
Oh,
feel
of
like
course. Yeah.
it like as long as they do something new and it's not terrible, I feel like it's a relative like
Yeah.
1 to 2 million seller.
Yeah,
So
I mean, I have an idea for a whole new Star Fox game. And by the way, I just wanted to add that I care about all of the characters except for Slippy. There's something about Slippy that has irked me all these years. I will have no respect for him.
good to
Anyway,
know. Good to
anyway,
know.
the idea for the Star Fox game that I had is sort of like the idea of Breath of the Wild. I mean, you want to completely, make a new game. I'm thinking like open world, if that makes sense, but like open
Like open
space.
space.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, open space. I mean, they could try to find a way to make the Star Fox Adventure style of game itself enjoyable. Maybe there's time trials of races going over like obstacles or bosses against other like enemy characters, like Wolf for an example. Just something. The idea of Breath of the Wild kind of like just restarting the series kind of. I mean, not restarting the series, I think you know what I mean, like changing the entire style of Star Fox itself and then making it actually enjoyable. I think like the idea of like an open space concept, lack of a better term, I guess.
Yeah.
um if I actually like think about and expand on, I think it could you know be pretty enjoyable.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I feel like if they take I hate to bring up this game because
Go ahead.
it launched so poorly and it kind of has a stigma around it. But like, if they do somewhat similar to No Man's Sky, just not in terms of the procedurally generated, because I think that hurt
Yeah.
that game more than it helped it. But I feel like if they take a set like map of space and go, hey, how many unique planets can we fit in here?
Hmm.
And how many unique races can we put on the planets? How many unique, star bases can we put here? Or, Andros's base, or I don't even know what he has, like area. Like
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't know.
yeah. I know it's been a while.
How much unique stuff can
Hmm.
we fit into this one vast space thing? Like imagine you're going through, you're upgrading your ship, like your ship parts are getting upgraded as you go through. And this honestly sounds similar to what I've heard Starlink is. Like you go through basically on various over like space itself works as kind of an overworld map where you select a different level or planet to go
Hmm.
to. But instead of
Yep.
just clicking through and tapping, okay, this is the planet I would like to go to now, you actually have to fly to it. And like sometimes there would be random encounters by like space pirates or whatever that come over, try and dock your ship or
Hmm.
try and blow you up just because they're evil. I don't know, space terrorists. um, I don't know. Like that
Yeah.
sounds cool. It's a cool gimmick. It's a cool like
Yep.
selling point.
I
And I
feel
think you
like.
really,
Yeah. No. Go
yeah.
ahead. Go ahead. No.
I was just
Finish
gonna
here.
say
Yep.
I think that was a really good idea on your behalf. I would never have thought to make it an open world kind of thing, but now that you bring it up, I feel like that's definitely the way to go.
Yeah. I think the future of the franchise has to be open world, or else it's stuck. I mean, I feel like the idea, like you're saying, of that gameplay, I feel like time trials could be fun. In for in-game story and post-game, making it competitive, with other players, and that can even create, a whole community. Because as you know, Mario Kart, for just for example, time trials and all that, is competitive. I mean, obviously
Yeah.
finding ways to obviously finish, the fastest. Um, I mean, yeah, it's just a good idea. I mean, I just feel like open world or bust for me at least if they're ever gonna do a new Star Fox game. And with your comment about a sequel to Star Fox 64, like I just don't see it, and I feel like even if that did happen, it would not even sniff the first one first of all, and I just feel like people aren't going to enjoy it. It's just too old. If I'm just going to be honest, it's too
Yeah.
old to can have a defined sequel at least.
I agree.
Yeah. Moving on past Star Fox, Metroid, Metroid Prime 4. We've talked about this many times, but I'll just give a quick overview. Um, they kind of they started from the beginning. Basically, they scrapped it, and Retro came on and kind of restarted development. And we haven't really heard anything since. We've heard a few hires from other big games for graphics or just developers generally, and other than that, we don't really know anything about it. I believe the game got delayed as well, because there was some original date, but we haven't really heard anything about it yet. So, Metroid Prime 4, when do you see that coming? And do you believe, just as a side, I guess, do you believe that any 2D Metroid games could come to the Switch, or any sort of, new sequel, I suppose, of any 2D Metroid game?
Okay, I'm gonna actually answer that one first. 2D Metroid, I do think will come to the Switch in some capacity. Um,
Agreed.
I think that there was a remake called Samus Returns, which was a remake of Metroid 2 on the 2DS or 3DS. I guess both of them. And that was
Yeah.
developed by Mercury Steam, I believe. They did a really good job on that. I heard pretty unanimously good things, like in terms of the actual remake. There were some core problems people had with the game itself, but that's not Mercury Steam's fault. That's the game they're remaking's fault. So I feel like if they remastered Super Metroid, which is viewed as, hey, this is one of the greatest games of all time. Imagine a Super Metroid like complete remake. I shouldn't even say remaster. It's
Oh my
a
god.
ground up remake. That would be really good. And the producer of Metroid Prime or Metroid Samus Returns said, "Hey, we'll do more 2D Metroid if you guys enjoy this." And the game sold well, so I would not be surprised. And we don't currently know what Mercury Steam is working on, so fingers crossed for that. In terms of 3D Metroid or Metroid Prime, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
I had a really weird thought the other night. So you mentioned this earlier on when you were talking about Retro Studios. We have gotten no news from them in terms of Metroid Prime.
Hmm.
What we have gotten news for though is them hiring developers who worked
Developers
on.
from a bunch of other
Yeah.
games. Yeah.
So I'm gonna list off a couple of those games, at least the ones I remember off the top of my
Yeah,
head.
go ahead.
I saw Battlefield 5.
Hmm.
They got, I think it was a level designer from that game. They got like an environment artist from Black Ops 4 just recently within the past couple of
Right.
weeks.
Yeah, yeah, I've heard that. I think that was like a week ago, but yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it was very,
Awesome.
very recent. Um, I don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure either Mass Effect or Halo. They got
I
someone from one of those
I
two.
believe it was Halo. I
Yeah. I don't want to say for sure, but they've been slowly acquiring a team
mhm.
of people from these FPS games, which makes me think. Obviously, Metroid Prime 4 is going to have a vast single player campaign. I'm not even gonna, sugarcoat that. That's gonna be the main focus of the game. What if there is a Halo-esque multiplayer focus here with like legitimate like FPS, like you queue into a match, because Nintendo has never made a multiplayer first person
Oh,
shooter.
yeah.
There was like Metroid Prime something on the DS Hunters maybe, which was technically, I think that's the one of the only times Nintendo's ever made a competitive online first person shooter. Which is funny because it was on the original DS. It was like a launch title too, I think. But
Mhm.
uh, they've never made like a competitive FPS, like a modern competitive FPS. Splatoon is as close as it gets, and even then, that's not realistic at all. It's also
Yeah.
not an FPS; it's a third-person shooter. Um, Imagine a Metroid Prime 4 like crazy campaign, like Halo 1, Halo 2, Halo 3. All those games have crazy campaigns. Even games like Battlefield 5, or
Legendary, yeah.
I've never played BO4's campaign. I've never played BO4 in general, but um
I only
Battlefield
I only
5,
played the multiplayer anyway. Go on.
yeah, Battlefield 5, I played a bit of that game's campaign. I mean, apart from the occasional glitch, like it's a pretty damn good campaign. Like
Yeah.
there were good missions, they were fun. Story was, but what are you gonna do? But obviously, the main focus to all those games is the multiplayer.
Mhm.
What if they're gonna, obviously do, hey, Metro Prime 4, big single player focus, but we're gonna make a multiplayer mode here that isn't just a throwaway, like
Mhm.
some other multiplayer modes have been.
Yeah. Actually, make it last. I
Yeah,
think
thoughts
I,
on that?
I think that's a great idea. I mean, that when I think of a first-person shooter and kind of space-based, I suppose, I think of Destiny right away.
I
Destiny
didn't even
is
think of that. I think they got Destiny. I think they got someone from Bungie. I'm gonna actually. I won't look it up, but yeah. Anyway, continue.
so. I mean, if that's true, then I guess that kind of gives.
Some credence.
Yeah, there you go. That was the word. Yeah, give some credence toward your kind of thought there. I mean, I think that would be amazing, dude. I mean, like, wow, that would if they do it right, and I believe they can, it would be so fun. And if you make it competitive, and I mean, yeah, like I don't even know what to say. I mean, it's great.
Yeah,
Hopefully they do. I mean, I think that would also make the game last a lot longer and not, have fans 3 years from Prime 4's release being like, "Where's Prime 5?" Like,
yeah, for sure.
I mean,
I
I don't
also,
know if they're
yeah,
gonna react like that after this game has been long awaited for so long, as I just said.
yeah,
I don't know if they would say that, but just an example. I mean, when you release games, most of the time you wanna make it last.
of
I mean,
course, of
good
course.
sales, right? Yeah. So that multiplayer idea, that's a great one. Hopefully they do
Thank
do
you.
that. Yeah. That
Yeah, I
that's great.
just, I've just been thinking about that recently because it seems so out of left field that it actually could work, and
Mm,
there are some really conflicting pieces. I remember late 2018, so right before Nintendo scrapped, Metroid Prime
original
4,
Prime 4,
whatever,
yeah.
yeah, the original Prime 4 in January of 2019. I
Yes.
remember who was it? I think it was Koizumi or one of the higher ups at Nintendo said that they are looking to increase the value of Nintendo Switch Online, because this is right after Switch Online launched. They're looking to increase the value of Switch Online by adding online functionality to typically single player games.
Yep.
And a lot of people thought, oh, okay, Mario Party. And, that ended up happening or did happen. So people were like, oh, it's just going to be that sort of thing. But then, Metroid Prime 4 gets scrapped, which is very out of character for Nintendo. So it's hard to think that, hey, they were just making a normal Metroid Prime game, which is, something that has happened in the past. Obviously, Retro made the last Metroid Prime games, but it's hard to think Nintendo couldn't do that. So when they scrapped that game, everyone was like, okay, fine. But I was always like, what? It's hard to believe they got like 2 years into a project and then we're like, this does not reach the quality we're looking
Yep.
for, which is
I
what
I
they
have so
essentially said in
much
that video.
yeah, I have so much respect for them though there. I'm really
Yeah,
happy they actually
a
scrapped
hundred
it. I mean,
percent.
like, I think it has to be an all-time great game at that point. If If they scrapped it and everything, I mean, it has to be good, man. But
Yeah,
hopes are definitely up with that. I mean, that multiplayer idea, I'm still kind of blown away. That kind of Destiny 2 idea with Metroid and maybe you go look around and loot for higher weapons and raid and
that would be
whatever that may
crazy.
be. Have
Honestly, I
a
was
sort
thinking
of
just
Destiny
like
style.
deathmatch, but that
Yeah,
works.
no,
That works
that too.
perfectly.
That too. Yeah, yeah.
That
Yeah.
that Destiny idea, like if it's built into the campaign in some way,
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
oh man, that's crazy. That would be a
Yeah,
blown away by that.
crazy
That would be
idea.
crazy.
So yeah, I mean that's pretty much it with Metroid. Those multiplayer ideas are great, and obviously hope we see them. And we're getting close to over an hour here, so let's kind of go to the Mother series really quickly, and then we can go to fan questions. So. Mother is definitely a series that a lot of fans want to see come to Switch, especially Mother 3. They want to see it on Switch. I think a Mother trilogy would be great. I don't expect to have a Mother 4 or anything like that because you know Mother 3 hasn't even been played by everyone first of all. So
Yeah.
I think if the Mother series ever makes an appearance on Switch, I feel like it's going to be a full-on trilogy. And other than that, I think they're just not going to do anything. It's very low possibility because I believe the creator of the Mother series has been he said something
Yeah,
about
he's
there's
like
not going to be
gone or
any future.
something.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's gone from like game development. I believe. I haven't really done a lot
Yeah.
of research into that, but
I'm
do you see a Mother trilogy ever coming to Switch? Because I'm a little bit on the side that says not really, unfortunately.
I think not really. Although what does kind of get my brain running, and I'll just brush on this quick because I feel like we've talked about it before, not in a podcast, but just some
Yep,
other
we
time.
have.
Um, Mother trilogy in the style of Octopath Traveler, or Mother
Yeah.
trilogy in the style of the Link's Awakening remake. Like,
Mhm.
if it came back in a stylized sort of way like that, where it's like the graphics are like not pixel art anymore, or if they are pixel art, it's like Octopath, where it's like very stylized, like realistic shading, lighting, all that stuff.
Yep.
That would be a great way to actually like capitalize on the Mother fan base because there is a pretty big fan base for that. Obviously, when reach outside of Nintendo, but um, I mean, who knows? Like, I don't think it's gonna happen, but keep an eye open because
Yep.
no
I
one
mean,
knows
yeah. I mean, we hope so, but unfortunately, I don't think we're ever going to see an appearance of the Mother series, make at
precisely.
least a revival on Switch or Mother 3 come to Switch. So, moving past that, wow, that was a lot. Yeah, I mean, just to kind of conclude, um, for just everything, I mean, we want to see direct stay. I think we both agree with that. It's a
Yeah,
great way of, announcing Nintendo's games and all of those series. I mean, we'd like to see them come to Switch. Some
yeah,
have a
obviously.
big some have a big possibility, some really don't, but we just want to see the Switch's library obviously expanded because the more games the merrier, of course.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
moving on, we can go to the question segment here. And yeah, so first up, first question coming from Ethan22YY asking, do you guys think that Breath of the Wild 2 is the last time we'll see Breath of the Wild Link? Do you think possibly it could turn into a trilogy if the next Breath of the Wild sells really well? I mean, I think there's no question the sequel is going to sell really well after the all-time great game that was Breath of the Wild 1, but
Hmm.
a trilogy is interesting to think about, but I don't know. I think I'll leave you to this one. I mean, do you think a trilogy is possible? And what do you think about this appearance of Link? Do you think we'll see him for a long time, or just these two games?
Okay, so I don't really know why I feel this. I've always been of the mindset that trilogies are the best way to tell a story. I don't know if
Mm-hmm.
that's just me,
I
like
agree.
Star Wars. Like I really don't
Yeah.
know. I just started Uncharted 1 today. I picked up all the Uncharted games. Because the Uncharted Nathan Drake collection was $16 at a GameStop, and Uncharted 4 Drake's Deception, I think it's called, or no, it's like Among Thieves or something. That
Yeah.
game
Yeah.
was like $9. So I was like, yeah, okay, less than $30 for what is one of the PlayStation's like entire greatest series. But the fact is, like, the main part of that series was like the trilogy, right? Uncharted 4 is cool and all, but like like a lot of people say like the trilogy was like, I mean, the trilogy was like what got remastered altogether. Uncharted 4 was kind of like after the fact.
Yep.
Like there are a lot of like Mass Effect had three. People didn't like the third, but like so many games and movies and everything have trilogy. So um I feel like Breath of the Wild would work well in a trilogy.
Yep.
The issue is though trilogies work best for storytelling. There is no story in Breath of the Wild, at least in terms of like something that like you can really expand on. Like the story in Breath of the Wild is as simple as like in Mario 3D World. It's essentially go save princess, kill bad guy. That's literally it. And like
Yeah.
there's other like stuff going on in the background. For example, you got the four champions, interesting characters, really interesting characters.
Very unique. Yep.
They just did absolutely nothing with that. So if they wanted to go full on story driven in Breath of the Wild 2 and be like, hey, like obviously they would never come out and say this, but be like, hey, Breath of the Wild 1, well, like the story was kind of ass. We'll give you guys that. But if you
The
want to like
gameplay and the whole
the game,
concept
yeah,
of it was
essentially, if they
so
just
creative.
were
Yeah.
like, yeah, we laid the groundwork for an incredible game, and now we're gonna just do another incredible game in the style of the last one, but featuring a very in-depth story that doesn't have to do so much like exposition and like setting up the world because the world was set up well in the first game. It was just nothing really happened in that world. If they kind of do that, like if they tell a interesting story in this new version of Hyrule in Curse of the Wild or whatever the second Breath of the Wild is, then
Yep.
absolutely I'd love to see a third. But if this next Breath of the Wild comes along and there's kind of not really a story and it's kind of just like more of the same, which would still be an incredible game,
Oh,
would
of
still be a
course.
10 out of 10 in my book, masterpiece. But if there's not like an in-depth story that like ends on a cliffhanger or something, then I don't think a trilogy is needed, or I don't think a third game, the threequel, one might say, I don't think it's needed. But
Yep.
I would
Agreed.
love, I would love to see a story. Like I would love to see that.
Yeah. Hey, you never know what they could do. I think they have the groundwork for the amazing game. I think Breath of the Wild 1 was sort of trying to create the foundation for that new Zelda formula, obviously, and they did that beautifully,
Yeah,
as we can
exactly.
both agree. So maybe they have a more intricate story this time around in Breath of the Wild 2. We never know because we haven't really heard anything yet. But yeah, I mean, hope so. I think we're both in agreement there. We hope that that's kind of gonna happen, right? So,
Yeah,
um,
exactly.
let's see here. Let's take a little gander. Let's see. So, Machosaurus, this is pretty interesting.
Yo,
Um,
Mac, my
yeah,
homie,
of
my
course.
guy, the man, the
Asking,
man.
would you guys ever consider doing an off-topic podcast that isn't about Nintendo/video games? Some of my
Yes,
favorite
let's
parts
do
of
it.
this podcast are when you guys go off on random tangents and who knows about what.
Okay, do you want me to answer this, Peter, like
Yeah, go ahead.
seriously, or because I can give like a joke answer, which is every podcast is a non-Nintendo related podcast because I feel like we end up talking about like like go off and talk about VR and PJ's just there like Jesus, what are we doing, man? No, but like
Yeah.
seriously, I, I would love to do that. I'm always so hesitant to say this. I love Nintendo, obviously. My favorite company. They've changed my life so many times in so many ways. As of right now, I don't care about Nintendo. Like what they're doing, it just doesn't interest me. Paper Mario, like okay, looks kind of good. Like I'm so much more invested in VR right now, and even my PlayStation than anything Nintendo's currently working on. Once 3D World gets announced, that's over. It's a wrap. Nintendo wins. But as of right
Uh,
now, I don't really care. So, um, I would love nothing more than to talk about, VR, and I already kind of do that. I would love to talk about like anything else. Like I know a lot of you guys probably don't care, but I'd love to talk about sports. I'd love to talk about just, TV shows, movies, like social things, literally anything that like interests me. I'd love to talk
mhm.
about with you guys. And I feel like it would be a good way as well for you guys to get to know us more because I feel like anyone who's here at Nintendo tonight, like anyone who's at Switch Shop, like you guys could just be there because like you want to hear cool Switch content. But like anyone who's here at
Mhm.
Nintendo tonight, like listening to a long form podcast, I would say you like obviously you want to hear us talk about Nintendo, but you wouldn't watch like hour long episodes every week or so if you didn't like us as people and like want to get to know us. So I feel like
Yep.
it like talking about like I feel like it would do kind of well, but I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts. So if you listen this long, let us know in the comments or tweet at us if you're on Spotify or iTunes. Um, would you care at all about a non like it would not be something we do often, like maybe once every 20, 30 episodes. And even then we'd still probably talk about Nintendo for like half of it. Um,
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't
Um,
know.
this should be one of the last questions. I think we might do one more after this one, but
All
it
right.
could be the last one if I don't find another one. So,
All right.
question here, or one worth. Anyway. Next question here from Jay asking, do you think Nintendo should acquire Sega? This is so interesting, and I've thought for years, yes, they should, because Sonic games, at least for me, they've had a very rocky path. I mean, Sonic 06, the one on the Wii, Sonic the Dark Knight, I believe it was, or the Black Knight, something about that. Um,
What? I've
they
never heard that in my life.
really? No way. Here, I'll
The
get the
Dark
exact.
Knight? Dog, that's
Yeah.
Batman.
No, I know, but
What
it
you
was something
talking
about
about,
that.
Tyre?
No, I'll find the name.
Sonic
But what do you
Wii.
think about what do you think about, like Nintendo
Oh, and the
buying
Black
Sega?
Knight. You're right. Holy crap.
Yeah.
Okay.
So do you think that Nintendo should buy Sega because they've had a very rocky kind of line of games here?
In a dream world, yeah, that would be sick.
Yep.
Will it ever happen? At least not in the foreseeable future. Hell no.
Yeah.
Sonic is Sega's big thing. However, Sega is more than just Sonic. They've actually been, for some reason, the Yakuza of all franchises. They've been going ham on Yakuza recently. Like
Yeah.
there were a lot of like Yakuza remasters and remakes and stuff for the PS4. I think Yakuza Zero was like a new game. I'm not sure. I know absolutely nothing. But like also just in terms of like company policy, like I think this can be summed up perfectly by just one example. Nintendo sends cease and desists to fan games, and Sega brought in fan game creators to make a real game in Sonic Mania. I think
Wow.
that just
Yeah.
sums up their company policies perfectly. I think Nintendo and Sega, while they're similar in many aspects, they're different in many others. And
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know.
I mean,
Wouldn't
I
work
I
too
want to
well.
see it. Yeah. I've always wanted to see that happen. Um, because
That'd
they've
be
all.
huge.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It would be
So big.
huge. I would love to see it. I just can't see in the foreseeable future, at least. But I think we're both in agreement. We do want to see it happen eventually.
Yeah, for sure.
So, last question here from Ethan Mastercrafter,
So you did
and
find another question.
yeah. So, just to kind of cap this off, and this is more of a switch top kind of channel question, but anyway, he asks also Q&A for next podcast. Do you guys see your channel getting to 100K subs? If so, what big changes might come to the channel? We've talked about this a little bit, so what do you think?
I hope so. I like literally asked me a couple of weeks ago. I would have been like, yes, it's gonna happen. Like, it's gonna happen before okay. Quick backstory: I started the channel basically late August 2017. I started high school September 2017. So it has
Yep.
always the channel has always been very personal to me. It kind of goes through like my high school life. Um, and my goal has always been 100,000 before I graduate. I feel like if I hit that, like not not that I feel like this isn't worth it, but if I hit that, like I will have achieved the goal that like I had that goal even in mind even when I started. I was like, if I want to do this full time, like hey, let's try and get 100,000 before I graduate. Like that's a realistic goal.
Yeah.
Um, and I like I don't know, something about that number is so crazy to me. Like people say like, "Oh, it's my dream to be a YouTuber." Like I kid you not, I've been watching YouTube like pretty religiously since 2007 or 2008.
Me
Like
too.
I remember staying up late watching Minecraft videos. Like
Yeah.
I've seen it all, man. I've seen it all. So like like yeah, as I was saying, people say like, "Oh, it's a dream to hit 100,000." Like I'm pretty sure that I've literally had dreams of being a YouTuber before I started Switched Up, like of being a successful YouTuber. Because something about it, man, I just like no matter how stressful it is, like getting views or whatnot, just something about the idea of like making videos for a living, it's so appealing to me. However, as I kind of foreshadowed earlier, like I have that faith right now. We're just currently like the channel's in a bit of a down, like I mean it's no secret, like views are down it's just we haven't been uploading as much because I've been trying to put more quality into the videos, but it's just kind of like I don't know. I feel like we're both in a slump when it comes to main Switch stop.
It's a
You
rough
know,
patch.
yeah,
Yeah.
we're in a rough patch. So overall, I'm gonna say yes. I definitely see 100K in our future, and then
Hmm.
I feel like once I get there, I'm just gonna no longer care at all about what I upload. One of my favorite videos I've ever made is a video essay that I refuse to upload on Switch Shop because it will do so poorly. Like it'll get no views, and even though people like it because it's a good video, it'll kind of tank the channel because YouTube does this weird thing where if you have a video that doesn't get many views at all, they don't recommend your next videos because they're like, okay,
Yep. Yep.
YouTube, like no one's watching this guy. So once I hit 100K or once we hit 100K, I will just upload whatever. Like obviously, within the confines of what a Switch YouTuber could upload, but I'm gonna like just go quality over quantity, and if if it takes me a month to do one video, screw it. Like that's what it'll be. Um, but
Yeah.
yeah, man, I hope it happens. I hope it happens so bad.
Yeah.
I have to get off my ass and actually make videos because I'm in like a demotivated phase right now, if that makes sense.
Yep. I completely agree with literally everything that you said. I don't even have to add anything. That's a goal of me and yours.
Yeah.
We've had those conversations before. So
Man, I just want my little plaque. I want my silver play button. It's actually so funny because for as long, or not as long as I can remember, because I can remember more than like 2 years, but for the past 2 years, I've had over my desk, not the desk I'm currently sitting at, but the desk downstairs in my bedroom. Um, I've had a piece of paper. It's not even like a piece of construction paper or anything. It's literally like lined paper I ripped out from a notebook when I was doing schoolwork. And
right.
I wrote on it in pen. It says 100K play button goes here, switch stop. And the way my room is set up, I see that every single day as I wake up and as I go to bed. It sounds kind of weird, but like it's kind of just always been there. So I want to be able to place the play button there and just kind of like see it like all the time. Like something about that, it just man, I want that so bad. I gotta actually work for it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's definitely a great goal.
Yeah.
Definitely hit it. June has been a slow month, but as you know, we've kind of talked about before, um, it's been a weird year. No one could
Yeah,
predict
for
this.
sure.
A lot of
Yep.
people are probably having these same view issues that we're having.
Yeah.
Pandemic, man,
Weird.
unforeseeable.
Yep.
But yeah, that's the end of the questions segment. We want to thank you guys for listening to episode 8 that we're on now. And
Damn.
before Thomas kind
Crazy.
of just thank you guys so much for making the switch the switch over to the that was so terrible. The switch over to the Nintendo Tonight channel.
It took me a minute.
Yeah. I think we have like 600-ish subs on there now, so thank you guys for clicking that sub button and supporting
Let's
us.
go.
Shooting
Let's
for
go.
1K at the end of July, so hopefully we can get there.
We got
You
that.
guys
That's
have,
easy.
oh yeah, you guys
Small
have been listening
potatoes.
on on Spotify and Apple, so we do very much appreciate that. And for episode 9, I just want to let you guys know that we are going to be having a special guest. I will not say who it is yet, but be sure to follow the Twitter at Nintendo Tonight to find out in the coming weeks who that guest is going to be. That podcast will be fully Mario Kart related, so if you guys are into that, be sure to check it out. And yeah, that's
Stay
it for me.
tuned.
Mm-hmm.
Stay tuned. Yeah, that's it for me as well. I mean, yeah, there's really nothing to say besides thank you guys all so much. Seriously, like, I mean, even just from that last tangent I went on, like, you guys know how much this means to both of us. So
Mm-hmm.
seriously, thank you guys a lot. Yeah, with that out of the way, that has been the 8th ever episode. Crazy, we got that many now, but I
I
mean, we're
know.
just we're cranking these out, man.
Oh yeah.
This is our yeah. I mean, thank you guys for watching. I just said that. I'm just gonna end. This is the 8th ever episode of Nintendo Tonight.